Hey everybody, we have a full episode for you. We hope you listen. There's some fun stuff in here. Trust me. Andrew gets into the Wonderlic test and taking sacks, and as you can imagine, I have a little bit of I have a little bit of fun with that one. So, but we do want to give you your picks right up front here in case you're coming up against the time crunch to get your picks in. Um, we'll go in order here: 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 8 o'clock. We got the Lions +3. We have the Bengals +10. We have the Colts -3. Got the Vikings -10.5. We got the Raiders -7.5. We got the Saints -3. The Titans -5. Those are your 1 o'clock games. Your 4 o'clocks. Give me the Giants on the points. Giants +10.5. Cardinals at home -2.5. Pack at home -8. Give me the Patriots and the 1.5 points. Very surprised by that spread, guys. Give me the Patriots and points against the Chargers. And then finally, while I don't expect them to win the game, I think Denver keeps it close enough, and it's Denver +13.5. That's your picks for today. Enjoy the full episode, guys, and thanks for listening.
What a blessing it is to spend these mornings, guys, with you guys. You know what a blessing it is to spend Sunday mornings with you, Cage, with Luca Nation. It's truly a blessing, and we wanted to welcome you guys back to one of the more popular, more interesting takes that we have, our Sunday NFL edition. What are you rolling your eyes for? I wanted to let you guys know at Luca Nation.
I get some breakfast here.
I don't know if people know this. Cage comes from a football family. Cage's dad played in the NFL. Cage was quite a high-level football player himself, and his brother's a football guy too. So just a little behind the scenes into the big man here. Yes, kiss your biceps.
A little Hulk Hogan action going on right there. Yeah, and Andrew comes from a circus family. His family is a Ukrainian high wire act. Trapeze, if you will, and they do everything without nets. And
it's true. We are acrobats.
It's actually Andrew's life slogan. He does everything in life without a net, and it's why he has 11 children in 6 different countries. So it's a lot of fun, man. None of them look like him though. Listen, it's Sunday morning, man. You get me up for this shit. You never know what I'm gonna say. So here
I love it, man. I love it.
So no, actually, I'm pretty excited about this week's slate of NFL games. 2020 is the gift that keeps on giving, right? And we have COVID. So what did we have last week? We had a Wednesday night game, which is the first time I remember a Wednesday night NFL game in a forever. And I think we have 2 Monday night games and a Tuesday night game this week. I mean, it's just craziness what we got going on. But let's just focus today for Sunday because we really had another really good week against the spread last week. And we might as well jump into it. So we did something fun last week, and I'll go through all these fun ones. We'll do the 1 o'clock. But when you looked over the slate of games, did any of these games kind of jump out at you as like the one you want to watch, the one that was a curious one, or anything like that? Because if not, I have a couple. I have a couple that I really were, I'm like, all right, now there's the one. Put me in front of the television. That's the one that I want to see this weekend. Anything jump out?
I'll take a guess.
Go ahead.
The Titans, Browns. I think that's up your alley because you've been high on the Browns all year, guys. You don't know they're second in their division, and Cage called that from the preseason. And this is two teams that, in my opinion, are like mirror images of each other. I think that's kind of interesting.
So the 2 games that stuck out at me are the Browns Titans and the Rams Cardinals. One at 1 o'clock, one at 4 o'clock, which makes it nice, right? Because if you happen to be sitting in a casino or a sports book or whatever it is, and they got all the games on, you can kind of focus on those. So if you have the NFL package, boom, those are your games, right? So unfortunately, you've picked it out 100%. I've been on the Browns. I picked them to do pretty well, and the Browns are 8-3. Most people run the Browns last year, not this year. But here's where I think this game, and by the way, we have this game Cleveland +5, Titans, right? So it's Titans at home -5. Line hasn't moved that much. It was 5.5, but it's 5 now. With the Browns, right? They're 8-3, but do we really put much stock into a lot of their wins in recent weeks, right? Who'd they beat? Cincinnati, Houston, Philly, Jacksonville. The Titans, also 8-3, a little bit more of a challenge than those, Texans and Bengals and Eagles and Jaguars teams that the Browns have beaten recently. And the big difference is a man named Derrick Henry, who I have not given enough credit to, right? We saw what he did against the Ravens. We see what he does. It's just that, it's an impressive thing. We talk about Dalvin Cook in the year he's having. Derrick Henry, I think, single-handedly put that Titans team on his back list during the playoffs. And what's impressive about him and what's fun to watch is even in close games where people seem to be containing him, I don't want to compare him to Barry Sanders because he's like the exact opposite type of runner as Barry Sanders. But they used to say with Sanders, just keep giving him the ball because eventually he's going to break one, right? And even if he has 3 or 4 straight, losses, which Henry doesn't usually have losses because Barry Sanders would be dancing around in the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, you're going to see a stat line of 3, -2, 3, 1, 6, 7, 1, 3, and then 83 or 61. Like that was the way Sanders used to play. But Henry, he beats down a defense. The defense by the middle of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, they're tired of tackling this guy. It's like trying to tackle a truck, right?
It reminds you of the saying, what is it? A movable object, unstoppable force.
Yep.
So he's an unstoppable force, but the Browns have a good defense, a really good run defense.
They do, and they have a very good running game too. So it's almost like kind of like a strength against strength, and the Browns have a good running game, and the Titans' defense is not exactly the greatest thing in the world, right? So it's an interesting.
How would you tackle a guy like Henry Cage? Not like you, but like from an NFL, you're a football guy. How would you go about tackling that guy? Because he's a truck.
So
I wouldn't want to tackle him.
First of all, I would never want to tackle him either. But you can't tackle him high. You can't arm tackle him. You can't go up high on him. He's for the most part a straight up and down runner. So you just have to get lower than him and hope that somebody else comes along to hit him at the same time you do.
Why don't they do? And we're just bullshitting
ankles.
Here.
For
ankles. Why don't when they like clip their ankles together?
Yep.
And then like the fastest, strongest guys go down. You just like clip the ankles. That's probably harder to do than it seems, right?
Well, what's funny is he's constantly moving. So if you watch game footage of him, you'll notice that his ankles are very rarely together. So while you might get one, his other one is not there, and he's moving. And I've seen people try to ankle tackle him, and they wind up getting dragged on one ankle. So he's definitely he's a load. He's definitely difficult to tackle, and he's got a pretty crazy run style, and he just goes, and
he runs really straight up, but he has really good balance for a big man.
So there are not many running backs in the league like him. Mm-hmm. And he's big, and I can't compare any other ones. There are other good running backs in the league, but they don't play the way he does.
Cage, the line is tempting to take the Browns here, though. Now
it is, it definitely is, and the money probably is coming in on the Browns because, like I said, it was 5.5, and now it's 5. This is just one where, unfortunately, I've watched enough Browns games because I'm on them. They are tempting you to take the Browns, right? You would think that this is a field goal game and they're stretching it up a little bit because the Titans are at home. I just see this game as one where, even though the Titans defense is not that great, Baker Mayfield, if you need to rely on him, those are the games you want to stay away from Cleveland. And as much as I like Cleveland this year, I'm not a Baker guy. Baker is not a quarterback that I'm expecting to do magic with his arm. I'm expecting him to be able to do enough on games where his offense, his defense, and his running backs will keep him in the game, and he does not have to do anything except don't turn it over. But a game like this, where they're on the road and they're underdogs, you're gonna have to look for him to do something with his arm, and that's usually when he makes mistakes. I have a feeling Cleveland will play from behind, and when that happens, Baker makes mistakes, and Henry will be able to, probably pile on in the end of the game. So this is one where I'm going with the Titans.
I like it.
And yeah, you're right. I mean, this is why I like it is because it's a nice matchup. It's running against running, right? And could I see Cleveland's running game having a really good game? Sure. But I like to pick those interesting games right up front. And this is the one I just see, if I see the game playing out in front of me, I see Baker throwing a pick or two. And, the Titans seem to have a little bit of momentum also. So
love it.
Lots of fun. So the next fun game that I like, I'm just gonna jump around to the ones that I really liked, and then we'll go right back to the 1 o'clock one. But the second big game, it's the Rams -2.5 at the Cardinals. It's a 4 o'clock game, right? So it's funny what's happened in this division. This was a division, if you remember, you go back to my NFL preview. This is going to be what, episode 152 for us. So the NFL preview was episode 55. So you want to talk about how far we've come in the NFL? We're almost 100 episodes in to the season now.
Shout out that you know that off the top of your head, Cage. By the way.
Well, we're having some fun here. So, but yeah, I mean, listen, this is my baby, man. You think I should know this stuff? I mean, I know kids' birthdays. I know my kids' names. So this is my third child. This podcast here. Well, you're my third child, and you have 7 children of your own. So that makes me a grandparent. So anyway, here we go. So this was the division back in week 55 episode 55 that I thought was going to have 4 teams with 500 records or better. I didn't think there was going to be a losing division in here. And if you went back to a few weeks ago, the NFC West had a nice little tie at the top here, but the one team's kind of pulled away, and the Rams at 7-4 and the Cardinals 6-5 lost last week, and the division is now with Seattle. I mean, you got the 49ers kind of picking up the rear there, but there are some good teams in this division. And talk about a separator game here. Is this a game where the loser basically misses the playoffs? I mean, is this what we're seeing here? The NFC's got some strong teams, and you got to think, if a second team comes out of this division besides Seattle, it's going to be the winner of this game. I mean, it's just what I think. So, I mean, are these teams looking at this like a playoff game, right? I don't know. Maybe they both make the postseason. Who knows? But bragging rights, big deal. Arizona has lost 3 of its last 4 games. What's going on there? Is Kyler Murray not as good as people thought? We talk about game film, right? We talk about having enough film on somebody. Have the defensive coordinators around the NFL figured out a way to contain him with a spy? They leave a middle linebacker in there. They leave bring a safety up and just follow him around. And, he hasn't looked the same the last couple of weeks. Who knows? I have no idea. So this one here, I think they're pretty evenly matched up division teams. I think you go with the traditional wisdom in betting, which is divisional game, spread less than 3, go with the home team. I think the Cardinals come back and they do enough to get a win here. Kyler Murray's got to be reading all the stuff about him in the card world. I mean, Kyler Murray's got to be coming into all these Instagram groups and seeing all these people who have so much money invested in him, nervous, pulling their hair out, going crazy. I mean, we know people who have Kyler Murray cards. That's like their screen name, expensive Kyler Murray, OG Kyler Murray. I mean, there are people out there who, they've mortgaged their lives on this Kyler guy. I mean, and Kyler knows that. I mean, he's on Instagram and he sees the stuff. He's not watching the women dance on those videos. He's coming into the sports card Instagram world. So he's got a show today, and I honestly think that he does. This is the
Rams' remaining games. Not the Rams. The Cardinals' remaining games. So they're 6-5. They lose this game. They go 6-6. But next week they have the Giants, then they have the Eagles, then they have the 49ers and Rams to close out the season.
They got the Rams,
the Rams twice.
Rams on the road next time around. So that at that end of the season there, you would think that could have been a divisional type of thing, but who knows? But this is the one where I think the home cooking, home field advantage, small spread. If the Cardinals, obviously they got a pretty easy schedule for the next 5 games, but a couple weeks back when we were talking about the Cardinals, oh wow, Kyler's in the MVP, category. He's one of these guys. He looks special. They lose today, and they're 6-6.
And they're really 5-6 if it wasn't for that pretty ridiculous Hail Mary.
Yeah, but
So,
if it wasn't for his balls and his junk, my uncle would be my aunt too. So that's the way things work.
Sure, I think my point had a little bit more merit to it, but sure, I think you have a really good point there. Thank you for adding to it. The Rams are good, man. The Rams are really good. I think the Rams are underappreciated as a team. They remind me of just like a traditional 1990s 2000 team. They defend really well. They run the ball really well. And if Jared Goff doesn't turn the ball over or play just absolutely disgraceful, they're going to be in every single game.
I agree.
Their defense is tough, man. Aaron Donald, and then
I love Aaron Donald. I think he's a fantastic player. And I like the Rams.
Peters. Who's their cornerback? He used to play in Jacksonville. I can't remember his name.
Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey, dude. Having a shutdown corner like that, dude, he takes away half the field. He literally takes away half the field. That defense is going to be tough. That's a cool matchup to see, a really good defense versus a running, exciting quarterback like Kyler. And then on the other side of the ball, I feel like Sean McVay he's a good coach, man. And the jury's out on Cliff Kingsbury. I don't know. Yeah. So I'm excited for this team as well. I would go Rams, and I would tease the Rams up, but we bet, we live, we learn.
Hell yeah. We definitely do all of those things. It's funny. At first blush, when I looked at both of these games, when I first put pen to paper last night on the two games that I picked as my exciting games to watch, I was on the other end of the spectrum on both of them, and that's, by the way, how I pick the games I want to watch. The betting spread on these things, they shouldn't be easy. Those fun games that bring fun matchups for whatever reason, those are the tougher games. And, there are some people who probably bring you these betting shows like the first and second. Hey, this is my best bet of the week. It's not. I'll tell you my stone cold locks later on. But these are just the ones that I think are going to be fun games. And you hit the nail on the head, man. I mean, everything from the coaching matchup to Aaron Donald lining up against Kyler Murray, their defense against that crazy offense, is DeAndre Hopkins going to show up and show out today? Finally, he hasn't really appeared since that Hail Mary. Is Kyler going to silence the critics? Is Jared Goff showing that he's the real deal? There were a lot of Carson Wentz, Jared Goff talk for years after that draft, and now Goff is showing that he's not Carson Wentz and that the Rams made the right. I mean, there's just so many stories. He had great matchups. Ultimately, in the back and forth, I just think Murray does enough at home to get this one done and avoid a losing streak and get knocked down to 6-6. But we'll see what happens. I understand why you go Rams. That's what makes it a fun game. And my third in the series of out of order but fun games. This was a spread that I liked. I was a little surprised by it, right? And it's the Patriots Chargers at the Chargers. You got it. See, so I mean,
it's the worst spread I've ever seen in my life. It's a joke. It's a joke. Well, I love hating on Anthony Lynn. Now that Bill O'Brien is at home in his man cave smoking his stogies and just chilling on like $500 million for no reason, Anthony Lynn is my next call for his head.
Yeah, why?
Did you watch the end of last game?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if that says it all. The guy ran a QB sneak with 10 seconds, 20 seconds left, no timeouts.
So, you know what I saw from that game? I saw from that game that that the Chargers, they do enough to stay in games, but not win them. Right? I mean, is that the only thing? And is that a coaching thing? Is that what I mean? You're nailing that it's the coach. You think that's it? You think that comes from the coach? That they just clueless. What's interesting, right? The Patriots.
One of my favorite quotes, Cage, is how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that a lack of attention to detail that bleeds into other areas. Maybe we don't see it. That probably bleeds into the film room. That probably builds into hey guys, these are the adjustments we need to make from week to week. We don't get privy to that, right? but
Yep.
I'm a big believer in how you do one thing is how you do everything. That's why you have such respect from Bill Belichick. Is he always talks about just do your job, right? Just do your part and do it
That's
really
right.
well.
So you have two fun teams here, though, right? I mean, Patriots. I mean, talk about coaching. Is this the biggest coaching discrepancy in the league? Is this the
Yes, that's
biggest?
actually.
Like,
I didn't even think about it like that, but yes, it most definitely is.
I mean, but as far as
Although
the
Andy
team,
Reid is the number one coach in the league right now, just
yeah,
because of
you're a homer.
I love Andy Reid, man. He's so funny
Listen,
too.
it also tells me something about the NFL. And you know what it is? A lot of these coaches are only as good as their quarterback. But let's leave that conversation for another day, right? Because people, if instead of Garoppolo, the Chiefs waited and I mean the Patriots waited and did what they needed to do and drafted Mahomes
But
and then
Cage,
let
that's
Brady
you.
go and he'd be there. I mean, all of a sudden Belichick would be the mastermind of all masterminds. I mean, it's just a lot of it is you think
Cage,
do you
you're
think Mahomes?
absolutely right, though.
Yeah,
You're absolutely right that a coach is only as good as his quarterback. But let me show you the stats. Cam Newton has 4 TDs and 9 interceptions this year.
yep.
Justin Herbert has 23 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. The Chargers are 3-8, and the Patriots are 5-6. So Anthony Lynn has a better quarterback, and he's still worse and has a worse record than Bill
I
Belichick.
disagree with that. I disagree with that. I think
Tell me.
you just made an argument there and saying only as good as your quarterback is, right? First of all, I don't think either of these guys are that great of a coach. I like Belichick, but I think a lot of the credit he got is because he was playing with great teams and he had Tom Brady, who was a good quarterback. But just because someone has 23 touchdowns doesn't mean they're a better quarterback. I mean, how many running touchdowns does Cam Newton have? I mean, if the only measurement of a quarterback is whether or not they have touchdowns, if you add in Cam's touchdowns, he's probably closer. Not to mention, Cam's got more wins and finds a way to win. I think he's won 3 of his last 4 games, where Herbert has been in the league for 37 seconds. Cam won an MVP. So I mean, I wouldn't do their quarterback comparison, but where I am
I've
on
watched
this
a
one
lot of
here,
Cam this season. He spikes the ball into the ground on simple passes, and he's maybe one of the more inaccurate quarterbacks in the entire
so what's
league.
funny about that is you're 100% right, and that is my analysis here, and I can't rely on Cam, right? So do you know what his stats were last week? His stats were
Uh,
at home,
tell me.
84 yards passing and 2 picks. And they had 47 yards rushing from their rushing leader, Damian Harris. But even with those stats, they beat the Cardinals. Do you believe that? That's because of their defense. So what's funny about this matchup and why I put it in my top 3 games of the week is because it is a game where these two chameleon teams, they seem to play to the level of the competition. They seem to want to keep these games close. You know, the Chargers play a bad team, they don't look that good. Chargers play a good team, and all of a sudden they're world beater offenses. But the big difference between these two is that the Chargers score like crazy. The Chargers can score. And the Patriots normally look at that offense. It's anemic. And you would think that going into today, Cam would have to be better, right? He'd have to throw the ball. He'd have to be able to keep up with that Chargers offense, right? I mean, that's the big thing, right? The Chargers should be able to score, but the Patriots won't be able to score. So at first blush, I look at this and I'm like, I got to go with the Chargers here because I don't think the Patriots have the horses to keep up with them. And then I said to myself exactly what you said, which is there is no way I'm picking a rookie quarterback who has a propensity to make huge mistakes with a coach who's not teaching him how to play the game the right way against Bill Belichick. So
Let me throw something out to you.
Yeah, sure.
There's 82% of the money is on the Patriots money line,
Yep.
and 74% of the money is on the Chargers spread.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty confusing, yeah?
It's the weirdest thing in the world because the spread's 1.5.
I'm gonna go double check it on a different site, right? We got to cross. We got to look at different references.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just crazy stuff, right? And I will tell you, when it started, it was even. So I think the reason you're seeing that is because you're seeing a lot of movement between the even and 1.5, right? I mean, that's the deal. So let's see on your site what the most recent. Yeah, it's Patriots plus 1.5. So it's very weird, man.
Now I'm seeing on thespread.com, that was where I used to
Uh-huh.
go, 54% on the Chargers.
See? So, I mean, because it's swinging, right? It was Chargers even, Chargers -1.5. I mean, it's just been crazy stuff, all over the place. But this one here, I mean, it's basically a pick 'em game. I mean, it just really is. Um, I'm going with the Patriots. And
Let's go.
and I'm going with the Patriots, and I'm taking the 1.5 that they get. The Chargers are a good team, but this is it's funny, right? I mean, look what the Patriots defense was able to do to Kyler Murray last week. They made him look pretty damn terrible. And when it all comes down to it, I'm more of a let Belichick just dismantle a young quarterback. And we've just talked about the Chargers coach. A good coach would probably spend this week trying to figure out what Belichick's going to do to his quarterback and teach his quarterback and say, okay, this is what his defense is going to do. When you see this, be careful. It might be a trap for this. When you see this safety here, normally you think he's going to cover this guy. But what Bill Belichick's going to do is rotate him here. So be careful. There's two ways they can play this. That Justin Herbert's not getting any of that this week. So he's going to have a bad week. I'm just
Let me
saying.
add one little caveat
Please.
as well to this.
Mm-hmm.
This is the last 5 games of the Chargers. So I know the Chargers are playing well, and they put up all these points, and their games are close, and Herbert has these stats. But this is the last 5 games. Six games. Jaguars in week 7, Broncos in week 8, Raiders in week 9, Dolphins in week 10, Jets in week 11, Bills in week 12. I wouldn't really necessarily call that, the world beaters of the NFL. Those aren't
they're not.
the
Look at that
best.
record. Mm-hmm.
So, sure, they're staying close, but they're finding ways to lose games to bad teams. I'd love to see how they step up against a proven winner who's having a down year. I'd pay to see it.
Let me tell you, I'm not sold on Justin Herbert. I like him. I think he looks great. I think he looks like a real good player. But
How do you not
think,
tease the Patriots up to 8 here, guys?
Yeah, I think he's going to be very good, Herbert. But and he looks like a good quarterback, and maybe he will be, in years forward. He's still a rookie quarterback playing against Bill Belichick, and ultimately that's where that game gets decided.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, tease it up to 8, 100%. Why the hell not? The Chargers, have they beaten anybody by 8? So that should tell you all you need to know. And speaking of Justin Herbert, he could only hope to one day be a Hall of Fame quarterback like Matthew Stafford. So let's roll into those 1:00 games. We get the Lions at the Bears, right? It's yeah. Listen, this is my favorite NFL game whenever it happens every season, right? Because when talking about doing a podcast with you, it's kind of like,
Tell me.
I don't know. It's like having a catch with Joe Montana or Jerry Rice, or going out there and taking BP with Mike Trout, Ken Griffey Jr. It's like one of those dreams. And I was so excited to have the opportunity to do it. I was telling my kids, I said, hey, I got to come up with some ideas here. This way my co-host Andrew thinks that that I'm bringing some value to this. I said, what should we call this podcast? And my daughter, who was a big fan of The Wizard of Oz, we started talking. She's like, well, why don't you do like a Wizard of Oz theme and do some sports guys, and lions and tigers and bears, and it became up, Luca's tigers and bronze. Hey, we got the Lions and the Bears here. So I mean, this is like the podcast mascot game here. All we need
this is the Luca Nation Super Bowl.
This is it. This is the Super Bowl of Luca Nation here. I mean, all we need is Tiger Woods to show up and be in the stands and cheer for one of these teams, and boom, we got Lions and Tigers and Bronze, Bears, sort of. So go with me here. We got the Lions and the Bears, and the Bears have lost 5 straight since their ridiculous 5-1 start. And I when they were 3-1, 4-1, I remember doing these NFL episodes and saying, "Are they the worst 3-1 team in the world?" Like, I'd love to grab those clips. Are they the worst 4? And like, you got to bet against them. And then they were 4-1. And then when they were 4-1, we're like, they're horrible. You got to start fading the Bears. You said it, fade the Bears. And then they were 5-1. We were like, Jesus. They have to be the worst 5-1 team to ever be in the NFL. Well, They've gone from 5-1 to 5-6,
Yep.
and it's surprised exactly no one. So I mean, it's pretty crazy, right? And
These two
yet
teams are combined 1-9 in
yeah.
their last 10
Well,
games.
that's I mean the 4-7 Lions have 4 losses in their last 5 games too. Fired their coach, their general manager last week, and I mean, what does winning this game really get you? These two teams are horrible, and their organizations are even worse, right? But what have we seen this season? It's amazing that this is just what I'm going to go with. What have we seen this season? We've seen that when you get rid of your coach, your team shows out. It's basically happened every single time.
It's 100% true. And I have a theory for it. It's because, like, think about it. As players, you could always defer. You could be like, oh, the coach isn't setting me up to win, right? He's not putting me in the best position. Oh, I
Yep.
want to run an out route, but he keeps throwing me in the slot or whatever. I hate his play calling. That's typically what happens on losing teams, right? There's blame game.
Yep.
But when the general manager and the coach are done, it's so interesting what happens. It changes from the blame game to, well, now it's kind of a tryout, and whoever wants to be on the team for next season, you better show up because the next GM and coach are going to use this game film to evaluate.
Well, the only research I was able to do about this interim head coach here that that's coming into the game here is that they're saying that what the hell was his name? They're saying that he's going to be pushing for pace. What is it? What is it?
Okay.
Darryl Bevel, is that it? The interim head coach? Yeah. They're saying that the one thing that he was pushing for previously, and now because he's at
Rate
the
of
head,
play, rate of play, rate of play, rate
exactly,
of play.
run more plays, throw more balls, get the ball out quicker, run more plays, and look, the Bears defense, they're good. That might be the one strong suit. But I've watched enough Khalil Mack games as a former, he was a former Raider, a big Raider fan. And the one thing that I was never sold on with Mack was his engine. He seemed to be great in the first quarter. He seemed to be great in the second quarter. He seemed to show up and have those game changing plays. The strip sack, fumble recovery, you name it. But it always seemed to happen in the beginning of the game. And then he was the invisible man in the fourth quarter. And I don't know if that's because he just went full tilt and just was dead by the end of the game. I have no idea. But this is one of those things where I think pace of play, that's great. That's a way to keep the defense on their heels, right? Keep their defense on roller skates, as they say. And this one here, I'm going with the Lions. You're giving me 3 points. It's really just two bad teams, and I see this one as the Lions and their Hall of Fame quarterback Matthew Stafford with more ways to win. So Lions +3. Next up in our fun matchup, did we get robbed this year or what? This was one of those games where NFL card collectors had circled on their calendar before the season even started, right? Was this supposed to be Burrow at Tua? Right? Is this the Bengals at Dolphins? Did I lose you, man? Guess I lost them. It's okay.
I apologize. I was saying if they invested in an offensive line, it may have been.
You're not allowed to go to the bathroom. You're not allowed to leave me. I can't do this without you.
I went
I
on mute. I
can't
apologize.
live if living is without you. Come on now. Let's go.
I'm a big Tua fan, man. I think Tua's going to be good. I think he's just going to improve. Like, some people are questioning, if he's a good passer and all that, and I agree. I'm a big Tua fan, and I like this Dolphins team a lot.
So can I throw you out there and say I think Tua is so overrated as an NFL quarterback? It's ridiculous. And
right.
I wish
up to this point.
I wish I could short. No, I wish I could short him. I wish I was holding a bunch of his cards right now so that I could sell them to people. Wow. I don't think he's ever going to turn into a good NFL quarterback. One, because we haven't had a really good NFL quarterback in Miami since Dan Marino, and even he wasn't able to win a championship, right?
I guess Harvard educated with a beautiful, luxurious stallion of a beard is not a big deal at all to you.
Listen, the best quarterbacks out of Miami are the ones usually that leave. Listen, I mean, look what Tannehill did as soon as he escaped Miami. Miami's about going for vacation. It's not about going to win a championship. And it's sad too, because, they have such a great and storied, franchise there. But Tua, to me, and you might see it differently, he just looks like he's trying to be a mobile quarterback, but he's not. Like, I don't see him making the throws that he needs to make. He doesn't look comfortable making throws. He doesn't look comfortable in the pocket. And when he's out of the pocket, he doesn't look fast enough against NFL competition to be in the same category as the successful running quarterbacks. Like, I'll watch a game with Deshaun Watson, and he's
Yep.
got a cannon of an arm. And when he needs to escape, he's elusive. He's quick. He's got these long strides to get out of the pocket, right? I see Kyler Murray very different than Deshaun Watson. He can make the throws, but he looks like Barry Sanders. He scampers around, right? So Tua looks like something in between those guys, which is not good. You don't want to be really quick twitch like Kyler Murray or real long stride like Deshaun Watson. But Tua looks like he's I don't know what it is. It's like a slow dance with him. He doesn't look like he gets out of the way of many of these guys. I haven't seen him really, scramble, quickly and beat a defender to the corner too often. And his throws look to me awkward. And maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, because for the hobby, it'd be great to have, this young hyped quarterback, selling cards, scoring touchdowns. But to me,
Paige, do you believe it? Like, have you heard of the Wonderlic score or the Wonderlic test?
of course, I know what it is. Yeah,
How much do you?
Cam Newton was like negative, and he won the MVP. No,
Well, it's
but
funny. Tua's was
in?
actually super low. It was the lowest of this draft at 13. Yeah. And just to give you guys context, there's 50 questions. Ryan Fitzpatrick got 48 out of 50.
Well, it's funny you say that, because when you start a question off with "Do you believe?" you know what my answer always is? Do you believe in magic? And yes, I believe in Fitzpatrick. I believe in Fitzmagic. And my question to you before you get to yours is,
you already got to mine.
In this one here, do you think that the Dolphins would be better off in today's game if Ryan Fitzpatrick was started? Because I do. I think he actually gives them a better chance to win.
27-3. I think they're going to win 27-3. That defense is really, really, really solid. And I think Tua is an underrated game manager. I don't think he's ever going to be elite, but I think he's going to be a better version of Alex Smith. And Alex Smith was good, despite all of the people talking that nonsense out there. He was good. He wasn't great.
Very good. Alex Smith's very good.
Good is the enemy of great, and Tua most likely won't win you a Super Bowl, but he could get you to the playoffs. He could get you out of the first round.
So here's my take on this game. The Dolphins are going to win the game, and this is a game where Tua is playing. He's questionable about whether he'd be playing. He'll play, and it's a game where he should be able to showcase, what he has, if he has anything. If the people out there who are Tua lovers, this is a game where he should be able to, do what he did. But you know what I was impressed with, and I'm going to have to ride this. I was impressed with what the Bengals did, yes, against the lowly Giants, right? But no Joe Burrow. I was impressed with how they were able to keep the game close last week. At one point, I thought maybe they might actually win it. And in a game like this, that's all I need. And the betting public, I believe, because I think the money comes in and that's what changes the line. The betting public is, I think, in the same bucket as me, because this one started off Dolphins minus 11.5, and now it's Dolphins minus 10. And maybe that's just because bettors realize that double-digit spreads are difficult. They're tough. And you'll notice with me, double-digit spreads this week, there are 4 of them on our betting slate that we are going to get to today. 3 of the 4 times I'm going with that underdog getting the points. There's only one team that I think is going to blow out their opponent by double digits, and it's not this one. I think the Dolphins get the win, but I think that Bengals defense is a sneaky play here against a quarterback that I think makes some mistakes. I don't think it's 27-3. Sure, do I think the Dolphins win? Sure, but I think it's going to be closer than double digits, and I'm going to take the points with the Bengals on this one. And your objection is noted. We'll check it out later, and I think part of the reason people tune in and listen to us is because we very rarely agree. But yeah, I love it, man. To me, this is less about the Dolphins and more about the fact that the Bengals defense, they're surprisingly good. I don't think they are good enough to win a game, but I think they're good enough to keep them in this game.
I think they're going to get gashed. Let's keep rocking.
We shall see, I guess, right? So let's we can Let's go to another fun game. This didn't make my top three, right? But it's definitely one of those games where you're like, oh wow, this one could definitely be some fun. Um, it doesn't have the Drew Brees headliner in there, but it's the Saints at the Falcons. So
Hmm.
we have the Saints -3 in this one, right? And I'm going with the Saints -3. This is a fun one, right? Because you don't have Drew Brees, you have Mr. Taysom Hill playing backyard football. I mean, the Falcons, who are not as bad as their record, but I don't think they're as good as the thrashing that they put on the Raiders last week. This is a matchup where the Saints have just dominated the Falcons. They just had the Saints. The Saints have had their number, and the Saints are 9-2. Falcons 4-7. Sure, they can give a team, some trouble. Look what they did to the Raiders last week. Um, Julio Jones is banged up, and I just think what we're going to have here is we're going to have um, too much Alvin Kamara, and I think the Saints are just gonna run it down their throats. I think they're just gonna use the run game. I think Taysom Hill's gonna run the ball a lot, and I just don't
They
see
just
many ways.
they just played 2 weeks ago as well, and Taysom Hill was the quarterback, and they
Yep.
lost 24-9. The
Yeah,
Falcons have a brutal end of the year schedule.
and
They
this
play
one's
the
at the
Saints today.
Falcons, so you think it might be a little closer, right? But I mean, this is one where the even with Hill, right? They showed that ridiculous style of football that he plays. It's enough for them to win, and I just don't think that the Falcons have anything to stop the Saints on this one. So Saints -3. But go ahead, talk about the schedule.
They play Saints today. They play Chargers next week. They play Bucks, Chiefs, and Bucks. That's their
Crazy
last
stuff.
5 games.
Yeah, they might not win a game. Uh, Loads of fun. So next up on the slate of games, one I will watch, but no one else should because it's going to be I believe, an ugly game. It's the Raiders -8 at the Jets. It's a 1 o'clock game for a Western team coming over to the East Coast, which is never
I just want to
really a
say
good.
one more
Yeah, go
thing
ahead.
about that last game, Cage,
Yeah, please. No,
because
go
I
for it.
do think that the Falcons have a chance at the playoffs, and it sounds crazy
They
before
do.
reading that schedule, but they're 4-7, right?
Yep.
Do you want to guess their point differential?
I know they keep games within a score. That Saints game was an aberration, but their point differential on average
No,
is going
just
to
point
be
differentials for the
it.
year.
Yeah, but that's an average. It's going to be skewed after what they did to the Raiders last week. When you win a
They're
game
four,
by
but they're a 4-7 team, so they've
when you
lost 7 games.
right, but when you win a game by 40 points, it's going to cut your point differential down by a touchdown. The way they do the point differential, right? Is they how much you've scored, how much your opponent scored, and then divided
Right.
by the games played. If you did a point differential before last week, it would be significantly different. So, but yeah, if that point differential, what is it? Is it 5 points?
Plus 14.
Oh, see, well, a
I mean,
blowout. Yeah, so
okay.
that means
You
that
could
I
chalk
like.
it up to the blowout. I think that would be unfair because there was literally 10 other games except for the blowout. But sure, I think plus 14 for a team that's 4-7 at home. I don't know. I
So
think the Falcons are good. I've said it
what
last
it
week when
tells you is
Gruden
their
had that
offense,
quote.
right? It tells you their offense is very good, right? It tells you their offense can score, right? A point differential, but I think match them up against teams that have better offenses. Those are the ones that are going to lose. Um, you know, I like it
Do you
though.
think the
Point
Saints
differential.
have a better offense with Taysom Hill?
I do, just because of their
Okay.
running game. I think because of their running game, I think that's the deal. I don't think they're going to be throwing the ball all over the place. Although Michael Thomas clearly is capable. But you know what? I like that. I like the stat. It's almost like they do it in baseball too. Run differential. It just shows you that there are teams out there that usually the ones that score a lot, they win a lot of blowouts. The Yankees usually have a good run differential because when they lose close, and when they win, they're beating somebody 12-2. Um, so I like the stat. I just listen. You just got a glimpse of him a couple weeks ago, and you saw with Taysom Hill that the Falcons just couldn't stop the ridiculous. It looked like Turkey Bowl, like your family playing at Thanksgiving. Running quarterback who can't really throw the ball down the field. I mean, I think a legitimate defense with a better coach could scheme up a way to stop Taysom Hill, force him to throw the ball, but for some reason the Falcons couldn't do it. So I have no reason to think that they've become a better team in the last 2 weeks just because they decided to embarrass my Raiders. And it's a great roll into this one because the Raiders are coming off of their most embarrassed week of the year here, right? And I was tempted to go Jets. I was tempted to go Jets +8 here. I really was, for one reason. There's no Josh Jacobs today. And the Raiders go as Josh Jacobs goes. And I don't care that Vegas Dave has $12 million worth of Derek Carr cards and is saying that it's going to be, the next Mike Trout investment. I don't care. You can pump and dump, but leave your dump somewhere else. Don't bring it to me. Derek Carr's a good quarterback. I like him. He's a good player, but he's not great. He's not in the upper echelon of quarterbacks. I don't care. But this is Chuck.
Vegas Dave said Derek Carr cards right now.
Yeah, man. You gotta check out. I'll point you in the right Luca Nation IG chat. We were having a big conversation about it yesterday in one of our Luca Nation IG chat rooms. Which, guys, if you want to get in, you can. But somebody
You think you
dropped
listened to our September preview episode where we talked about Derek Carr cards being completely underrated?
No, dude, check the video. He's been in for a little while. I think he got in, when they announced that the Raiders are coming to Vegas, a couple years back. But I mean, he basically opened up this ridiculous Louis Vuitton bag and pulled out like a table worth of national treasures, cracked dice autos, 1-of-1 BGS 10s, like basically cards that was one of them. He's like, this one, they'll make the playoffs next year. And Derek Carr, this card will be $100,000. It'll be a 6-figure card. I mean, look, the guy's talking
about Derek Carr.
Cards. Derek Carr, yeah.
For Derek Carr, he's gonna have $100,000 card.
This is what he's saying.
Meme. If you're listening, get on it.
He goes, people laughed at me. You're gonna laugh at me about this, but they laughed at me when I said I was gonna have a Trout card that would sell for $3, $4, $5 million, and that obviously happened. I couldn't believe that Mike Trout and Derek Carr came out of his mouth in the same thing. But he's pivoting his investment. Not that Carr is so great, but that Carr is part of the NFL Las Vegas push. And that his investment strategy is sound because next year, without COVID, Vegas is going to be the destination. The team's going to be good enough to make the playoffs, and once he makes the playoffs, it's the time where his cards are going to go up. I mean, it's all valid. My problem is I just don't see Derek Carr in the same. I don't even know if he's a top 10 quarterback in the league. So it is what it is. I mean,
but my question to him would be. You said he made this investment a few years ago, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
If you're so confident, whatever his demeanor is, well, actually, you took a huge loss because you picked a quarterback in Derek Carr where Mahomes was sitting right there.
Yep.
And you're investing big money. You could have bought Mahomes, and you didn't need to wait for some 17 events to happen. The Raiders make the playoffs in 2021. COVID go away. You had Mahomes right there under your nose. So in your same division.
Well, that is, by the way, the reason why I could never invest in Derek Carr. Because for as long as Mahomes is going to be in that division, and he just signed a contract that keeps him with the Chiefs for the rest of his life, pretty much. The Raiders will be good, and they're very good this year. Their defense is terrible, but you don't need to have a good defense against the Jets. And there's yes, they were embarrassed last week, but I think that actually cuts towards giving me the Raiders -8 in this one. I think the Raiders and their coach want to go out there and show people that the optimism that people had about them 2 weeks ago as a potential playoff team instead of a team that's 500. This is a game where they should go out there and they should win by a lot. I mean, they should really go in first quarter and try to just embarrass the Jets. They should go in there and try to do everything that they can to just put this game behind them and have it a runaway. Just as easily as they were beaten and embarrassed last week, they should be doing the same thing to the lowly Jets, who are doing everything they can to not win so that they don't get into a competition with Jacksonville for the number 1 pick in the NFL. So,
Paige, did you see and maybe catch up our audience, because I didn't even know this until last night. I did a little research. Sam Darnold's getting a lot of heat this week. Adam Gase is getting a lot of heat this week. Mm-hmm. My first question is, why this week? Because they've looked putrid for like 2 years together. Second, I read a funny quote that Sam Darnold looks like a talking mannequin. He came onto like a show and they were like, you just look like a program mannequin robot. Take a look at it. It's pretty funny. It was like a New York show, and New Yorkers that run the radio don't hold back, apparently. What's your take on this whole thing?
I never liked Darnold. I don't remember the last USC quarterback who came out and did anything great in the NFL. I know we had Carson Palmer, who, I think was more a product of the great wide receiving core that he had there and the offense they built. But who was the last one that did anything great? I mean, Matt Leinart. I mean,
It was
when you,
fascinating. That was fascinating. The team was so good.
yep. I mean, they were that team was great, and their quarterbacks were, what you consider more system quarterbacks. Now that said, you could put Darnold, and Darnold was young, right? He was a little raw too. I mean, he would be a very good NFL quarterback with not a lot of problems if you put him in a middle of the road team. What was the last person the Jets drafted that you were like, wow, the Jets really did good in that draft?
Quinnen Williams is
The
my
jury's,
favorite.
I was just going to say, the jury's still out on Quinnen Williams because he looks decent. But Leonard Williams, they traded to the Giants, and he's actually playing pretty well. I mean, that was one of those, wow, we got the great draft in the NFL here. I mean, who? I mean, DeBrickashaw Ferguson. I mean, when was the last time the Jets, that list should be high. It should be names we all remember because the Jets basically are in the top 10 in the draft every year.
Robbie Anderson, right? And they gave that guy away to the
And
Panthers, and he's
gone too, right?
dominating.
He's great. He's very, very. But that's a perfect example, by the way, too, because he's a guy who everybody would say when he's on the Jets, they'd be like, "Wow, if he had a real quarterback throwing it to him, or if he had somebody, to get him the ball, he's somebody who could really be a good NFL player." And they're right. And I saw somebody make a joke, right, that the Darnold is like the next team next year, wherever he's going to be the Joe Montana for that team. You know what I mean? I mean, is it possible? Sure. Could Darnold be a very good quarterback? 100% for somebody else. And there are people who do that, right? They rejuvenate their career after leaving a bad situation. I was never sold on Darnold to begin with, but you're that kid Lawrence out of Clemson, right? Are you not watching this? What do you do? The Jets have the first pick. What are you doing? And how
He's gonna go take his talents overseas. He's gonna play in Europe for a year.
Yeah. He's gonna ask The Rock to speed up the XFL. So I mean, but how bad is that for an organization like that? This is the New York franchise here. This is the Jets. This is Gary V's team. Come on now. I mean, you're gonna have the number one pick and have this this franchise quarterback staring you in the face, and he doesn't want to play for you, and nobody does. That's sad. So, what would be sadder is if the Raiders found a way to not cover the spread today. I don't see it happening, and back on track. This one for me, Raiders -8 was the way to go. Moves us into one of those games that I was talking about with a double-digit spread. But this, however, is the one of the four that I am going to be taking the favorite on. And it was a fun one for me, right? Because you guys know I'm a Jaguars fan. I like the Jags. I like rooting for these
Loosely
weird
used
teams.
fan.
Yeah,
Loosely used.
but I like
You're a DJ Chark and James Robinson and Gardner Minshew fan.
Well, if I like the three best offensive players, I'm not. Does that not make me a fan? I mean, you like Tyler Hero, so loosely, I guess you're somebody who roots for the Heat. I know you're a Sixers guy too, but
you bring up a good point, Cage.
I mean, listen. Obviously, I do like them. I like to have some great offensive weapons, and I'm glad you listened, man, because you are not somebody who would have known James Robinson's name if not for us bringing it up undrafted free agent. What a year he's having. But really, what the story was on this one was I thought to myself, I'm like, the Jaguars, they find a way to keep it close. And you and I mentioned, oh, you know what, this one where I would go with the Jaguars if they were playing Minshew, because he'd find a way to keep it close. But they kept it close. But I can't bet on Mike Glennon. There's no way. I mean, come on now. And this one here, double-digit spreads are risky. They really are. But if I were playing fantasy today, and I've said this a couple times, I've been right on it basically every time we say it, I would stack the hell out of the Vikings here. I mean, Dalvin Cook, is this another 4-touchdown game for him? I mean, is he going to have 2 or 3 60-yard runs? I mean, this is just one where I think the Vikings are up, and the Vikings just stay up, and they, the Jags might score a garbage touchdown, but that garbage touchdown is going to bring them to within 21, not within 10. So I go Vikings -10.5 here. Their offense, get your Thielen and your Justin Jefferson, your Dalvin Cook, even Kirk Cousins. Put him in the starting lineups. This is one, a sneaky bet. You like to talk about parlays. Are you a fan of the first half bet? Because I'll bet you this one here is like a -6.5, maybe a -7 Vikings. I think the Vikings
I
are just
like
going to jump all
I
over
like
them.
-6.5 first half bets. I don't like first half bets in a parlay.
Right. Well, so I'm not saying parlaying it, but I said the wrong thing. You like teasers. I would look at this one first half line. I love those things in these big spread games because if you're really worried about that garbage touchdown getting you, well, it is not saying that you think the team's going to jump out to a big lead. So a 6.5 spread here. I think the Vikings, they score quick. They're up by 10, and they're never not up by 10 in this game. So I love the Vikings -6.5 here in the first half on this one. Anything to add on that one, or should I move on to one of my fun games of the week?
Move on.
All right. So the Colts, my 7-4 Colts. So I've mentioned DeForest Buckner and Darius Leonard a couple of times when talking about the Colts. Everybody was big on it's Phillip Rivers. It's the Colts. It's the Colts defense. It's all about that Colts defense. And they didn't look good last week. And they didn't look good because my friend DeForest Buckner was on the COVID-19 reserve list. And they just looked like a very different team. And that was right where Derrick Henry ran the ball 47 times for 397 yards. I'm making those stats up, but you get the point. He had 3 touchdowns. Derrick Henry had 3 first-half rushing touchdowns against him. I mean, it's just an ugly thing. But guess what? He's back, and the Colts are not playing the Derrick Henry Titans. They're playing the Houston Texans, a team that I like, right? I do like them. They're 4-7, but
they're 3-1 in their last 4 games as well. After firing Bill O'Brien, very easy games, relatively easy games. It was the Jags they beat. They lost to the Browns.
Correct.
Beat the Patriots. Beat the Lions. So
you know what's funny? Like normally momentum 3-1, they beat some decent teams. How easy is it? I think to derail that Texans clubhouse. First of all, I think the Colts are just a better team, and I'm going with the Colts here. But in addition to them being the better team, and I think the Colts, win this one easily. Cover that field goal spread. Can you believe that we're still having drug suspensions? And talk about the turmoil that's going on in that clubhouse. Just, they had some momentum, and then Fuller goes and gets suspended, right?
Did he really? I had no idea.
Yep. Will Fuller tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. Done.
Oh, geez, man. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, and that was one of my card picks, by the way. And he's having a great year, that's the stretch the field option for Deshaun Watson. And now it's gone.
That's so disappointing. He was having such a good season.
So that's the kind of thing that just like a COVID scenario where you're now forced to plug somebody in who's not as good as your starter. That's the kind of thing that just kind of throws the whole clubhouse into a state of disarray. Who is doing them with them? Is the test coming for them next? Who knew he was doing? Is there going to be any kind of an investigation? Does the team care? It's just one of those things where, you don't think about it as you're sitting on the sidelines. It's just, okay, just like the injury report. This guy's not in today, so, knock the team down a peg. But there's a lot more to it than that in the actual locker room. And, you're facing a Colts defense that's better than you, and you just took away your quarterback's best option. I'm going with the Colts. And this one was a pretty easy one.
And Bradley Roby suspended for 6 games as well.
So
he's the cornerback.
Yeah.
That's such an interest. I had no idea. That changes everything because I love betting against Phillip Rivers in December.
Okay.
He's notoriously pretty bad. He's notoriously really bad in December. I don't know if you've seen that stat before.
Yeah.
So I love betting against Phillip Rivers in December. He doesn't look good right now. I'm questioning how good that defense really is. But those are 2 big losses for the Texans, and Deshaun looks so good. I wish they had some weapons around Deshaun and just like a little continuity and trade Cam Newton for Deshaun.
Listen, you can't really complain. I mean, this year, obviously, not so much, but I mean, Deshaun, think of the weapons he's had around him, right? I mean, he had the best receiver in the league in Hopkins for the whole time until this year. I
Obviously
mean,
not, because Bill O'Brien traded him for a toothpick.
well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call Will Fuller a toothpick, but he is very skinny. And maybe that's why he's using the performance enhancing drugs. So, on to your favorite game of the week, the best team in the NFL with the best quarterback in the NFL, Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles at the Green Bay Packers.
You know what's so funny? I
Um,
searched 10 smartest players in the NFL during this episode, and Carson Wentz came up. He had a 4.0 in college, and he got a 40 on the Wonderlic test. And I was like, bullshit. That dude takes more sacks than anyone I've ever seen. He cannot be
so,
worse.
so you just said in 2 sentences that this guy is a Wonderlic who takes more sacks than anybody you know. Um, just an interesting way of describing another man. But we'll go
Do
on
you
to
know
the
what the
game here.
Wonderlic test is?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
It's and we talked about this and how Cam Newton's score was shit, and Fitzpatrick's score was 48 out of 50. It's basically a mental acuity test for these quarterbacks as well. And
That's right.
I mean, I think it's it's probably an antiquated thing now. But yes, I mean, Wonderlick and taking sacks and you just have to be careful what comes out of your mouth and more careful about what goes in it. So here we go, Eagles at Packers, right? And to me, this one is a pretty easy one. I got the Pack -8, and I get the Pack -8 pretty easy. Did you see how the Eagles game against Seattle ended?
Yes, I did see it. I watched it on replay because
With
I go to bed early.
like a 6.5 point spread kind of deal, right? And you got Wentz throwing a Hail Mary up to who the hell knows who he was throwing it to. He definitely wasn't throwing it to Richard Rodgers, but he gets swatted to the ground, and then Rodgers picks it up. Wasn't even targeted on the play, and he scoops it up with a touchdown and then 2 point conversion. And all of a sudden, it's a 6 point game. I mean, it was anyway. The Eagles are just 3-7-1, but that are they going to keep it close against the Packers? I don't think so. I think the Packers offense is entirely too much for these guys. The Eagles don't have the weapons on offense or the talent on defense to keep up with the Packers. And this is one Pack -8. I'd make this one of my stone cold locks. Let's go. Packers -8, beating up on the Eagles at Green Bay. Do you have anything to say in defense of your boy here who takes your sack?
I
I'm
have
gonna take
nothing to
that as a
say
no.
in
I'm gonna,
defense of my boy who
I'm
takes.
gonna take that as a no, and you like his Wonderlick. So Giants at Seattle, another 4 o'clock game here. This is another one of those fun ones, guys. This is the third of 4 on the slate of games today that have double-digit spreads. And I've already told you the Vikings were the only one I'm going with the favorite on. I can't believe I'm doing this with no Daniel Jones, who was, I think, the only reason why they kept these games close. But the Giants, we talked about this, right? I mean, they still have a shot at being the NFC East, champ, hosting a home playoff game. And just when you think they're the ones that are going to go out there and claim the division, their quarterback gets injured. I mean, it's just, and it's a hamstring, and he's a running quarterback, right? And, he's a mobile quarterback. And, I mean, it's just that NFC East. It's the 2020 of divisions. I mean, there's
I'm a
no other
big
way.
Colt. I'll call it right now. I'm a huge Colt McCoy fan.
I
Big
like
Colt
Colt
McCoy
McCoy.
fan.
But did you watch him
Texas
come in?
guy.
Did you watch him come into the game last week, though? I
Did
watched.
I actually watch him run onto the field? I'll
No,
rewatch.
play. Did you watch any of his
Does he
plays?
strut? Does he strut? Does he walk?
He struts like a longhorn, like a
Does
Texas
he do
guy.
a Does he do a somersault into the huddle?
No, but he came in the game and he actually made a couple of good throws. He did. I mean, better than what Jones was doing. So I don't know that Colt McCoy is a great quarterback. They really only managed a bunch of field goals. But this is fun, right? It's a fun matchup where the Seahawks just they haven't looked as good as everybody thought they were going to look. The Giants have zero shot of winning this game, But do I think that they could keep it closer than it is? Sure. I mean, the Seahawks, their own fans, they will tell you that that's just what the Seahawks do, right? So they've played 11 games. Do you know how many of those were decided by a single score? Seattle's 11
Hard.
games? 8. 8 of them by a single score. So, I mean, this one it lines up for me. The Giants have a decent enough NFL ready, backup. He's not as good as Daniel Jones, but Daniel Jones is just not that good either. I think the Giants defense keeps him in the game, and I think that while the Giants lose this game, they don't lose it by 10.5. So give me the Giants plus 10.5.
I'm gonna go a little crazy on you guys. I'm saying Giants win this game.
Whoa! So you got the little surprise money line on this one, huh?
I think the money line is worth a play. I think there's a lot of value on the money line.
I like it. I like it, but I mean,
this is my Vegas David Carr play.
Yeah, Vegas Dave. Well, you already are on David Carr, so that completes our 4 o'clock games and leaves us with just that 8 o'clock. I don't know, 8:20, whatever time they start this game. A fun one, right? Should be a divisional game, right? This is Denver getting 13.5 points at Kansas City. The Broncos 4-7 lost to New Orleans last week. But who was their quarterback? Was it wide receiver? Was it somebody who played quarterback at Wake Forest? Right? It wasn't even somebody who ever really took
Kendall
a snap.
Hinton. One. I love this, man. I love Jerry Jones. So he had a quote. He said, "The Broncos quarterback situation is no worse than our own." That was his quote on Kendall Hinton. 1 for 9, 2 interceptions, 13 yards passing last week.
Yeah, so I mean, come on now. But let's remember, Kendall Hinton wasn't quarterbacking the last time these two teams played. They had their full array of quarterbacks. You remember what the score was in Denver? The Chiefs beat them 43-16. Is it fair to say that the Chiefs, if they wanted to go out there and win this game by 27 points again, they could? Sure. But I'm not going to bet on that because as good as the Chiefs are and how, Patrick Mahomes is the greatest thing in the world and his cards should already be worth more than Tom Brady's and Joe Montana's combined because, Mahomes is just the best quarterback that the NFL's ever seen, knock-kneed as he is. Their last 3 games, their average margin of victory, those Chiefs, 3 points. I don't know what's going on with them, but they're playing closer games. I don't know if they're resting people in the fourth quarter. I don't know if they're just doing enough to, coast. But I see the Chiefs right now as LeBron James. They know where they're going. They're in for the long haul. They know they're going to win these games. Today's the game they know they're going to win. Today is a load management game for you and Carson Wentz and the Wonderlick. Right? This is load management, one of your favorite terms. This is just one of those games where, Andy Reid could suit up a quarterback and they're going to win this game. But I don't see them going out there.
You're in rare form today. You're in rare form this morning.
You wake me up early, man. I mean, this is just what happens. And I don't know if you can see it, but I'm almost done with the 2-liter bottle here this is my breakfast. An hour in, and I've almost consumed a full 2-liter of diet cherry Pepsi here. Look at this. Look at how much is left. It's not that much. By the time we're finished, I'll chug the rest. So we could say I did a full 2-liter bottle.
I called Cage last night, and he's at the grocery store. He does his grocery shopping Saturday night. Actually, brilliant idea because no one's at the grocery store. Shopping, and then he gets home, and the kids are waiting for him. By the way, which is kind of amazing. They're waiting at the door, helping him bring the groceries in, and he's like, "Here, guys, here's the Doritos. Here, guys, here's the soda." And then he's like, "Oh, here, guys, here's the pears and apples."
That's right. Right, you got to give them a little assortment. You need a little food, every food group, right? You need the fruits and vegetable food group, right? You need the protein food group, so I get some meat, and you need the other 2 food groups, right? You need the soda and the Doritos food group because that's what that's the gas that keeps this family going. So on this,
you guys made that. What food group does that fall under?
Doritos are their own food group.
Gotcha.
They have subgroup. It's Cool Ranch and Original, red and blue. Those are the 2 subgroups in the Dorito food group. In my
Oh,
house, at least, that's the deal. But hey, so just to put a point on this one here, give me Denver plus the 13.5 points. That's a lot of points. And it's not that Kansas City can't beat them by 14. They easily can. They did it in October. They definitely can do it again. But I think they're running a little LeBron coasting here, getting healthy, and I mean, maybe they don't even play Mahomes in the fourth quarter. Who the hell knows? I mean, he's having an MVP type season. Um, you know, I
I
think
love it.
Aaron Rodgers might have something to say about that, bro Namath. But it is what it is. Um,
Bro
yeah,
Namath has come on with some really strong takes recently, and I love it. I love it so much. Yesterday, I said that Steph Curry should be up there with LeBron as the 1 and 2 best players in the league. Man, Namath got tripped up. He's like, "What about Kyrie's shot that Curry can't defend?" Anywhere, I digress. We love you, Namath.
no, I mean, I think your take is actually accurate. Tell me the people who under athletic apparel brands have their own brand established. I mean, the Jordan brand is part of Nike, but it's its own brand, right? And we just had an announcement. Under Armour is coming up with a Curry brand, right? Their own brand, sort of like the Jordan brand. I mean, does LeBron have a LeBron brand? I mean, they have LeBron sneakers, just like there's KD sneakers and Kyrie sneakers. And it takes me to another fun one. It's not the NFL stuff, but did you see that interview where LeBron was complimentary of Luka?
What was he saying?
He was saying how he pitched Nike on a LeBron brand and that he likes Luka's on the court and off the court style game, you name it, so much that he wanted Luka to be the first athlete under the LeBron brand, like the Jordan brand. He wanted Luka to be his first signee for LeBron brand.
I like it.
Pretty cool, right? It's definitely have nothing to do with the NFL, but we're talking about some fun sports stuff here. So listen, we're week 13 in the NFL here. We hope you guys are enjoying this stuff, and you got any other wisdom to drop here for our crew?
These are the teasers I'm looking at because I think this week's pretty good at teasing.
Nice. You
Falcons
are a
plus
tease,
3.
man. You are a tease.
I'm a tease. I am a tease. Falcons plus 3, teased up to plus 9.5, even plus 10. I would recommend. I was going to tease the Texans, but thank you for bringing me that news. That I didn't realize there was those 2 suspensions.
Yep.
So to me, that's a layoff game. Raiders, I would tease from. They actually dropped to minus 7.5. Tease that down to -1. And we're Patriots. Those are my teasing games to look out for this week.
I like the Patriots. I mean, what do you wind up getting 8 points with the Patriots, basically 7.5 points. I mean, come on. I mean, could the Chargers pull off a win here? Maybe, but are they going to win by more than a touchdown? Doubtful. So I like that as far as the teas go. Yeah, listen, guys, we love you. We appreciate all of the love we've been getting here. I mean, it's been a crazy week, record-breaking week for us on listens. Keep it coming. Obviously, with the numbers that we're seeing, you're telling folks about us. You're telling your friends, you're telling people about us, and we really do appreciate that. If there's anything you want to hear from us, let us know. If you happen to stay for an entire hour and a half here, we appreciate you, and we'll drop some fun at the end. When are you giving away that McSorley giveaway, Andrew?
Oh, you're absolutely right. I'm gonna let it happen today before. Oh, this is a gorgeous card. I'm gonna pick a winner before the game starts.
All right.
Do you think I should use a randomizer, or how should I pick it?
Well, listen, I would say you should just go with your gut. And you know what's always fun with that? Let your mom pick. Show her all of the comments and say, "Here you
the
go."
mothers out of this.
Let her pick.
Jesus.
Come on, man.
I'll let you guys know. I'll let you guys
pick it at
know.
random.
I'd pick if someone goes above and beyond and leaves a little positive note or a little comment, or this is what I love when they tag their friend and they're like, "Hey brother, I would love for you to win it." That goes a long way because that's what I look for. So if you guys want a little bit of a hack, I love people that go a little bit above and beyond and share a little joy or positivity when they're looking to win the giveaway.
So you know what I love about our podcast here? It's you're giving something away, right? And And guys, here's a little insight into Andrew. I'm going to ask him a question. I think I know where he's going to go with it, but I'm not sure. And you never know. As a lawyer, I try to only ask questions that I know the answer to. So I'm going to take a little leap of faith here. So Andrew, it's our podcast. It's your podcast, and it's our giveaway, and that means that we make the rules for the giveaway. Right? It means that it's our card to give away to whoever we want to give it away to. Right? Now, I'm not giving it away to my son because that's ridiculous. But how do you feel about those giveaways? How do you feel about the feedback that we get out there, and how do you feel about randomizers, schmandomizers, and the like? Talk to me about giveaways, just generally speaking.
That was such an open-ended question. There's no way you can know the answer to it.
No,
It
I think I
wasn't
know
like
the
what
answer.
color is the blue bottle.
Well, the blue bottle is clearly red. But
how could you know the answer to this? So what do you think I'm going to say?
Well, that would be sad. Well, I mean, listen, I've seen giveaways on podcasts. I've seen giveaways on Twitter and whatnot, and it's amazing to me the kind of questions we get. So we posted this Trace McSorley giveaway just because I found it and we want to give it to somebody, right? And I am sure it'll land in a collection. But I will tell you, because I monitor our chat groups, our DMs, like when I was the hall monitor in third grade. If you were out there after the bell, you got written up because I was the principal.
Where's your note?
Oh my God.
Where's your note to go to the bathroom?
Where's your pass? So I monitor those things like you wouldn't believe. And I got to tell you, we get more messages from accounts that have 0 posts on Instagram. Literally 0 posts. No posts. Other than looking for giveaways. It's the only time, because I check, because I want to see whether you're somebody who we want to follow. I want to check whether you're somebody out there who we might want to invite into one of our many Instagram groups to talk about modern cards or vintage cards, or what you could add to the Luca Nation community. I look, but they're so can I enter this more than one time? Do I get bonus entries into the giveaway for as many times as I comment? If I comment 372 times and there's only 744 comments, I should have a 50% chance of winning this, right? What am I supposed to say to this? How am I supposed?
My favorite was when we got one post, we closed the giveaway. The guy messaged us and he was like, "When's the giveaway closing?" And we're like, "Oh, we closed it. We picked someone." He's like, "Oh, how do I know who you picked?" I said, "I sent him the name." He said, "Well, how do I know that you chose him at random?" And so I got put on trial quickly.
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, we just picked someone randomly that we felt right." But he's like, "Yeah, but you didn't use a randomizer. You didn't go live. So how do I know that this wasn't all set up?"
He actually messaged. You said it's done, and he goes, "Okay, where's the live stream?" And so I wrote you a message. I'm like, "Did we say we were doing a live show?" Like, first of all, I'm an old man. I don't even know how to do a live stream. I don't even know how to do this. I wouldn't even know what to do. So where's the live stream? Oh, what live stream? Well, you have to go live to give the thing away. Otherwise, how do we know you gave it away? And yet, did we block this individual?
No, we love this guy. He's our friend now.
We did not block him. We bring
Cage
him
went
into
above
the fold.
and beyond. I'm actually going to say Cage went above and beyond, saw that the angle this guy, more than likely a kid, is taking, and I understand his concern or her concern. And Cage said, "You know what? Let me do something. I'll send you a few cards that I have in my basement. I'll take a look. Who do you like? I'd love to help you out."
Yeah, and what do you think
That's
he said?
pretty cool.
I like Trey and Luca.
I've been monitoring Luca Prism Silvers for a long time. Thanks for asking.
You know what freebie I really want? I really want a Luca Prism PSA 10. No, but I sent him a Trey. I sent him. He's an Eagles fan. Shocking. This was a Philly person. I sent him some Eagles stuff. But you know what I said to him? I go, "Listen, here. I don't think."
Does he also want the sack Wentz?
He wants the Wonderlick. Wentz is sacked, exactly.
Today's episode just derailing, just going
No,
downhill.
but in all honesty, guys, the truth of the matter here is this: it's like this wasn't a troll per se because he did it in the DMs, but what we were able to say to them, and thanks to you and our audience here, and the love that we get, what we were able to say to them was, look, have you listened to any of our episodes? Have you listened to any of our podcasts? And then he said no. And I said, well, do me a favor, listen. You're questioning us and our giveaways and how we do it. Give a listen and give me some feedback. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. And I'll send you some cards for listening and for giving us feedback and letting us know what you think. And my hope, although you can never guarantee, my hope is that we turn somebody who questioned us or spent the time to say, where's the live stream, into somebody who hopefully is now gaining some value listening to our stuff. Somebody who was just basically, manning Instagram and, only using it to try to find freebie giveaways. And maybe instead of being somebody who's in cards for giveaways, maybe now they learn how to, flip cards for themselves. Maybe they know where to find bargains. Maybe they listen to enough episodes where they'll go on eBay and instead of looking for a giveaway, they look for something that they can turn into some money by grading it themselves. But yeah, man.
Classic, like, teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime. Give a man a fish, feed him for a day. I mean, that's literally a carbon copy metaphor example right there.
Well, you give this away however you want to give it away, man. And I, what I found yesterday going through my basement doing some sub stuff, I found a McSorley base prism also. Not a fancy, purple stars auto out of 50, but I found the base prism rookie of him, from last year's cards. If you want to give a consolation prize out to somebody, let me know.
Like
an extra McSorley.
I always find it super, super fascinating to have like a purple stars release for like a macho football player. But
it is true. Hey, look at this 400-pound defensive lineman and purple stars. It's is purple stars. It sounds like a new addition to the Lucky Charms marshmallow line.
The Lucky Charms marshmallows are phenomenal.
They are. What?
All right, Luca Nation.
Me that you like that. You roll a J, and then what is the go-to snack? Is it Lucky Charms? Is it Twinkies? Is it Ho-Hos? You're shitting on my Doritos.
Kinder Buenos, man.
Kinder Buenos in egg form or the bars.
My grandma used to buy me the Kinder Buenos with like the egg, and if you guys don't know, inside the egg's like a little toy that you like put together. I used to have those. That's interesting. Cage, thank you. Kind of brought me back. But no, I love the bars. There's 2 bars inside, and dude, I could have like 4 of them and wake up the next morning with just the worst stomachache in the world.
Wow. Well, you got to start eating McDonald's. It gives you an iron stomach like me. And that is the episode for today, guys. We try to bring it to you in less than an hour and a half because you're listening to it. Obviously, the last 20 minutes or so were just, me and Andrew talking about his affinity for Wonderlicking Carson Wentz. So you didn't get really picks there. And, we hope you enjoy this one, guys. The last few episodes have really, really, kind of gone on an upward trajectory. So we thank you guys for listening and for telling everybody. And for those of you who went on Twitter or Instagram to say that we should, that Top should put Andrew and I on an Allen and Ginter card, I love you guys. Thank you for doing that. If you really want to make my day, get on there, find that post by Tops. It's on Instagram and on Twitter now, and tell them they should make a card of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze, the podcast. Oh man, if that ever happens, I would be giving those cards away to every single listener. I'll autograph them myself. You guys get them for free. That would be the greatest thing on earth. That would be pretty cool. It's one of those dreams. What's your dream, Andrew? Wow, he's gonna get deep on us, folks.
Yeah, I'm not going to go there because I have a few, but that's a great freaking question. Maybe we'll do an episode because we've been getting this idea quite a bit, and I think we should do it. Just like a little behind the scenes into, who's Cage, a little behind the scenes, who's Andrew, and drop a few episodes so you guys get to know us, like, who we are behind the scenes. I think that's
all right.
Cool.
Well, let's do that. We'll cut it here today. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll speak to you soon. Thank you for spending some time with us on another episode of the Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze Oh My podcast. Do us a favor and subscribe. You know what? Don't just like and subscribe. Everybody does that. If you like us, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell everybody. And we hope you got something from spending some time with us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.